I buried my husband on a drizzling Tuesday in October, the kind of Pacific Northwest rain that soaks into your bones and never quite lets go, while his parents shook hands with a real estate shark right next to his casket, auctioning off the roof over what was left of my shattered life. They figured grief had turned me into a ghost, too numb to fight back, but I'd already crossed a line no sane person should, trading my body for his sister's, slipping into her skin like a thief in the night to watch them squirm from the inside out. What started as a desperate plea to a back-alley mystic in the underbelly of Seattle's Chinatown ended with me holding the match to burn their empire to the ground, and damn if it didn't feel like justice wrapped in sin. That body swap? It wasn't some fairy tale curse or sci-fi glitch. No, it was raw, ugly desperation born from the kind of betrayal that hollows you out. My name's Savannah used to be anyway, and I was 28 when it all went to hell. Ethan and I had scraped together our dream in a crumbling craftsman bungalow on Queen and Hill, the kind of place with creaky oak floors and a backyard big enough for the kids we planned but never had. He worked construction, I did graphic design freelance, and we were just hitting that sweet spot where the mortgage felt less like a noose. Then Ethan got pinched for embezzlement, $2.3 million siphoned from his folks' real estate firm, Blackwood Properties. He took the fall like a lamb, swearing to me it was a setup, that he'd never touch a dime that wasn't his. Prison broke him, and 6 months after lights out, he hanged himself in a cell. Suicide, they called it. But I knew better. His last letter, smuggled out by a guard's guilty conscience, whispered the truth. They made me the scapegoat, save. For their sins. Protect the house, it's the key. The funeral was a farce from the jump. St. Mark's Episcopal, all stained glass and hollow hymns, packed with Blackwood cronies in their Brooks Brothers suits, toasting Ethan's tragic lapse in judgment over lukewarm Chardonnay in the parish hall. Richard and Elaine Blackwood, my in-laws, if you can call Viper's family, held court like they owned the joint, which they pretty much did. Richard, silver-haired and sharp as a switchblade, built his fortune flipping distressed properties in the 90s boom, turning Seattle's Skid Rows into overpriced condos. Elaine, his Ice Queen counterpart, handled the books with a ledger colder than her Botox smile. They'd always hated me. Trailer trash climber, Elaine sneered once, after one too many Merlots, but tolerated the marriage for the optics. Now, with Ethan gone, I was just loose ends. As the organ wheezed Amazing Grace, I stood there in my thrift store black dress, veil hiding the red rims of my eyes, clutching the urn of his ashes like it could anchor me. That's when I saw it, Richard pulling a slick developer aside near the coat rack, murmuring about quick sale, cash only, widows too wrecked to contest. Elaine hovered, her pearl earrings glinting like accusatory eyes, nodding along as they pulled out a contract. Our house, the one Ethan died defending, the one with the hidden safe in the attic crawlspace where he'd stashed proof of their fraud. They were selling it out from under me, at his goddamn funeral. My blood turned to battery acid. I wanted to scream, to claw their faces, but Savannah Hale was supposed to be the grieving mess, not the avenging fury. So I played the part, sobbing into a lace hanky while my mind raced to the pact I'd made 2 nights prior. It started with desperation's yellow pages. Psychic readings, $50 per hour. But Madame Liu in Chinatown wasn't peddling tarot fluff. She was Vietnamese diaspora, old-school shaman with herbs that smelled like regret and a back room lit by flickering LED lanterns. Body walk, she called it, an ancient rite, forbidden even in her village, powered by a cocktail of ayahuasca knockoff and some black market neural tweak from Silicon Valley dropouts. You take another's shell, live their breath, but price is soul deep. Return? Maybe. Revenge? Always. I didn't hesitate. Ethan's sister, Lydia, the golden child, 25 and groomed to inherit Blackwood, was my target. She was flying in from her Stanford MBA program, oblivious and perfect, access to the family vault, the boardroom whispers, the safe combinations I'd only dreamed of cracking. The swap hit like a freight train at 3 a.m. in my empty rental, a roach trap studio downtown, since they'd frozen my accounts post-suicide. I chugged Liu's brew, bitter as betrayal, and chanted Lydia's name over a lock of her hair I'd swiped from a family photo frame during last Christmas's obligatory awkward dinner. The world dissolved into vertigo, my limbs going liquid, then solid again, but wrong. I woke staring at porcelain skin, honey blonde waves, and a walk-in closet full of Chanel. Lydia's dorm room mirror confirmed it, her face, my eyes burning back. Panic clawed up, but so did power. I was in. One text to Richard. Flight delayed, see you at the service. And I was en route to Seattle-Tacoma, stepping into her Lululemon life like a wolf in cashmere. The funeral blurred into a haze of condolences and canapes. As Lydia, I air-kissed cheeks, murmured platitudes, all while my real body, Savannah's shell, lurked in the shadows, dosed and dormant under Liu's care. Ethan would have hated this black magic bullshit, called it Hollywood voodoo, but he'd understand the why. During the graveside service, as the casket creaked earthward, I sidled up to Richard and Elaine, playing the dutiful daughter. Dad, about the Queen and property. Ethan's place. We can't just. I trailed off, feigning sisterly concern. Richard's eyes narrowed, that boardroom's steel glinting. Lydia, darling, it's handled. The widow's in no state. Probate's a nightmare. We're sparing her the hassle. Elaine chimed in, voice like silk over razor wire. Besides, the developer's offering top dollar. Think of the firm's liquidity. They didn't flinch, didn't whisper, just signed the prelims on a gilded Mont Blanc, the rain pattering on the tent like judgmental applause. I excused myself to powder my nose, slipping into the portable potty to puke up the morning's kale smoothie. Rage tasted green. But I had a ace, the hidden camera. Months ago, paranoid from Ethan's warnings, I'd installed a nanny cam in the house's foyer, disguised as a smoke detector, streaming to a burner cloud account. If they showed to inventory post-sale, it'd catch every crooked word. Back at the Blackwood estate that evening, a sprawling modernist pile in Medina, lakefront views mocking my loss, I dove deeper. Lydia's phone was a goldmine. Encrypted emails from Richard detailing the embezzlement frame job. Ethan hadn't stolen shit. He discovered Richard laundering cartel cash through Blackwood flips, Mexican real estate syndicates, washing narco dollars into legit Seattle developments. Elaine cooked the books. Lydia was being groomed to overlook it all. The house? It held the smoking gun, deeds in the safe linking properties to shell companies, Ethan's forged confession planted to seal his silence. They'd pinned it on him to dodge an IRS audit, let him rot while they partied. Deep betrayal? This was a chasm. And the crime I'd suffered for? Ethan's suicide was assisted, poisoned antidepressants slipped by a bribed guard, per a hushed text chain on Lydia's device. My husband, murdered for their sins. I couldn't blow it wide open as Lydia, not without risking the swap's unraveling. Lou warned, stay too long, lines blur. Become them. But revenge doesn't wait for therapy. That night, over a solitary dinner of seared scallops, Lydia's macrobiotic hell, I hatched the plan. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd lure them to the house under the guise of clearing Ethan's things, activate the camera, and force a confession. But to twist the knife, I dosed the wine with a truth serum knockoff from Liu's apothecary, harmless, but loosens tongues like bad acid. Ethical? Screw that. They'd killed my world. I'd poison theirs with truth. By midnight, I was pacing Lydia's room, the lake glittering like shattered promises. Doubt crept in. What if the swap stuck? What if Savannah's body woke without me, a vegetable in Chinatown? But Ethan's voice echoed. Fight dirty if you have to, save. For us. Sleep came fitful, dreams of caskets and contracts morphing into my own face screaming in the mirror. Day 2 dawned crisp, the kind of autumn blue that tricks you into hope. I drove Lydia's Audi to the Queen and house, our house, like a ghost returning to haunt. The for sale sign was already staked in the lawn, pending offer in smug red letters. Inside, dust motes danced in sunbeams, Ethan's flannel still draped over the armchair, smelling faintly of sawdust and him. I lingered in the kitchen, tracing the coffee stain from our last lazy Sunday, tears hot and unwelcome. Focus, I hissed. The camera blinked green from the foyer, faithful sentinel. Text to Richard. Dad, need your sign-off on Ethan's files before closing. House now. He bit, arriving with Elaine an hour later, all bluster and briefcases. Lydia, efficiency is key, he boomed, clapping my shoulder too hard. Elaine eyed the space like a hawk scouting carrion. Charming, but dated. Good riddance. We toured, me dropping hints. Ethan was so proud of this place. Said it held secrets. They chuckled, nervous birds. In the attic, safe cracked with Lydia's biometrics. Thank you, family trust. I discovered the deeds. What's this? I feigned shock, spreading them on the dusty floor. Richard paled, Elaine's hand twitching for her phone. Misfiled, he snapped. Burn them. But I was ready, wine poured in the living room below. Cabernet from their cellar, laced with Liu's elixir. To Ethan, I toasted, watching them sip. The serum hit fast, pupils dilating, guards dropping. It poured out then, a torrent of filth. Richard confessed first, voice slurring. Kid found the ledgers, Mexico money, clean through flips. Had to frame him. IRS was closing in. Elaine, eyes glassy. The pills. Guard owed us. Clean kill. They laughed, a hyena cackle, admitting the sale was to bury the safe's evidence under a McMansion footprint. The camera caught it all, faces, words, the devil's own home movie. Elation surged, black and sweet. But controversy brewed in my gut. Was this justice or just another crime? I'd violated bodies, drugged family, all for a dead man's ghost. As they rambled, I slipped away to call my real self Spurner. Lou answering, voice grave. Time short. Reverse now or lose both. I bolted to the backyard, under the old maple Ethan planted on our first anniversary, dialing 911 anonymously. Blackwood Properties, murder, fraud. Check the stream. Then, the right in reverse. Chant, blood pricked from Lydia's palm onto a locket of Ethan's hair. The world spun again, bones cracking, soul slamming home. I woke in the Chinatown cot, Savannah's body aching but mine. The swaps toll a migraine like divine payback. Sirens wailed distant as I staggered to a payphone, watching news alerts ping. Blackwood arrested, son's suicide linked to corporate scandal. The camera footage leaked like venom, viral within hours. Protests erupted outside their Medina mansion, activists decrying corporate cannibalism, families of flipped evictees chaining gates. Richard and Elaine, cuffed on live TV, their empire crumbling in real time. But the twist? It gutted me worse than the betrayal. Buried in the deeds, a yellowed letter from Ethan, dated pre-prison. Save, if I go down, it's because I covered for them too. Dad's debts, Mom's illness. I cooked the first skim. Forgive me. He'd shared the sin, not just shouldered it. My husband, my Avenger's fuel, was complicit. The frame was mutual, a family wrought I'd avenged blind. I stood on Queen Anne's Hill that night, the house dark and saved by injunction, rain washing clean. Justice? Or just vengeance's echo? Richard and Elaine rotted in federal holding, awaiting trial. 40 years if the cartel ties stuck. Lydia, catatonic from the episode, checked into rehab, whispering of imposters.
Me?
I kept the bungalow, turned it into a halfway house for embezzlement widows, therapy in the floorboards. Was it happy? Hell if I know. I sleep with Ethan's ghost some nights, his letter under my pillow like absolution or accusation. Readers argue in the comments, hero or monster, body snatcher or survivor. All I know is, in America's grind of greed and grief, sometimes you gotta steal a skin to shed your own. The fallout hit like a nor'easter off the Sound, whipping Seattle into a frenzy that made national headlines by dawn. I holed up in the bungalow, blinds drawn, nursing black coffee and the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that comes from puppeteering someone else's life. CNN looped the arrest footage. Richard, disheveled in orange jumpsuits, snarling at reporters about a family misunderstanding. Elaine stone-faced beside him, her pearls swapped for a paper bracelet. The hidden camera stream, grainy but damning, played on every feed, their confessions pixelated for primetime decency. We had no choice, Richard slurred on tape, wine glass tilting like Lady Macbeth's dagger. The boy knew too much. Twitter, X, whatever the hell they call it now, exploded, Blackwood betrayal trending, with armchair jurists dissecting every frame. "This is why we can't have nice things," one viral thread read. "Corporate America eats its young." Me? I was the invisible architect, Savannah Hale, widow of the fall guy, my name buried in fine print as concerned relative who tipped authorities. Liu's warning echoed. Secrets fester. She dosed my real body with stabilizers during the swap, but the toll lingered. Phantom itches where Lydia's tattoos weren't, dreams of lakefront views that weren't mine. I visited her shell in the hospital 2 days post-reversal, slipping in as a cousin. Lydia stared vacant from the bed, for dripping sedatives murmuring, "Who is that girl in my head?" Guilt gnawed. Had I fractured her for good? But Ethan's letter burned in my pocket, his complicity a barb. He'd skimmed first, to fund Elaine's experimental cancer treatments off books. One time, he wrote. Then they pulled me deeper. Noble rot or just weakness. It muddied my moral high ground, turned my revenge into a mirror maze. The house stood saved, at least. Pro bono lawyers from the ACLU, scenting a cause célèbre, filed for emergency probate stay, citing the fraud docs as leverage. I wandered its rooms like a squatter, touching Ethan's tools in the garage, the half-finished crib in the spare room. We'd planned a family, talked names over takeout pho. Emma for a girl, after my mom. Jack for a boy, nod to his granddad. Now it echoed empty, a monument to might-have-beens. But power shifted. Checks arrived from Blackwood's frozen assets, restitution labeled. I banked them, hired a PI to dig deeper into the cartel angle, Colombian connections via Vancouver ports, properties flipped with blood money. Controversial choice. Do I expose it all, risk blowback on innocence? Or let the feds unravel the web? Stay the grieving ghost? Richard's lawyer called a week in, voice oily as used car sales. Miss Hale, a word? Your in-laws wish to negotiate. I met him in a Denny's off I-5, fluorescent hum and grease scent grounding the surreal. He slid a folder across the Formica. Non-disclosure, 7 figures, in exchange for burying the tape. They say Ethan's death was tragedy, not malice. Pills were his depression, you know. Lies, but laced with truth. Ethan's psych evals showed the darkness. He'd hidden the schemes from me to protect our future. I laughed. Bitter syrup. Tell them the house stays mine. And the trial? Let the jury decide if family means framing your son. He blanched. Word of the swap hadn't leaked, but my steel matched Lydia's poise. Walking out, I felt the controversy bloom. Was I extorting ghosts or reclaiming stolen ground? Lydia checked out of rehab a month later, gaunt and glassy-eyed, demanding coffee at the bungalow like old times. Save. What the fuck happened? I blacked out. Felt you in there. Her words hung, a noose of what-ifs. The swap's residue, Lou called it echo. Let fragments bleed through, dreams shared like bad Wi-Fi. I played dumb. Brood Pike plays strong. Grief does that. Ethan's gone, we're all ghosts. But she pressed, piecing emails the wine night. Dad confessed to you? On camera? I nodded, slow. Trust fractured, but blood's thicker. She turned state's evidence, spilling boardroom sins for immunity. They groomed me to lie, she whispered, tears salting the brew. Ethan tried to pull me out. Sisterly bond, forged in fire, controversial, sure, but redemption's messy. The climax brewed in federal court, Seattle's glass fortress downtown, winter rain lashing windows like accusations. I testified as material witness, voice steady under fluorescent glare. The frame job, the assisted suicide, the house as Pandora's attic. Richard glowered from the dock, Elaine's eyes dead fish. Prosecutors played the tape. Gasps rippled the gallery, reporters scribbling fury. Cross-exam? Richard's shark grilled me. Mrs. Hale, obsession with the deceased, Perhaps projection? Your husband's documented instability. They painted me unhinged, the swap's secrecy fueling whispers of unreliable widow. I fired back. Instability? Try covering for parents who'd sell their son's grave for a profit margin. The judge banged gavel on mistrial threats, but the jury, blue-collar mix, faces etched with recession scars, saw their own betrayals mirrored. Outside, protesters swelled. Justice for Ethan banners, families displaced by Blackwood flips chanting my name. Controversy peaked when Lydia took the stand, crumbling. I knew. Ignored it. For the legacy. Her breakdown went viral. Think pieces debating, enabler or victim? I slipped out a side door, rain soaking my coat, the weight of it all crushing. Revenge tasted like ash. Ethan's sins exposed, mine in the swap buried but festering. Was I avenger or enabler too, letting the rot spread? Then the twist gut punched, mid-trial recess. Anonymous drop at the courthouse. Flash drive, labeled Truth for Savannah. Hotel room playback, heart hammering. Ethan's prison tapes, smuggled audio. Save, if you hear this, I'm gone. But listen, the frame was my idea. Dad's syndicate? I brokered the first deal, laundered through our house flip. Mom's cancer.
It was eat or be eaten.
They took it too far, the pills, I didn't know. Forgive us all. Voice cracking, static hissing. Reversal complete. Not just scapegoat, but architect. The crime I'd borne? Ours, a family Faustian bargain. I shattered the drive under heel. Evidence evaporating like mist. Back in court, I amended testimony. Ethan was flawed. But murder? That's on them. Jury deliberated 3 days. Rain relentless. Verdict: guilty on all, fraud, conspiracy, manslaughter. Richard, life in Supermax. Elaine, 25 with possibility of geriatric release. Lydia walked, probation and therapy, her shares liquidated for victim funds. The house? Mine free and clear, deeded in Ethan's will, fraud nullified. Ending? Debatable as a hung jury. I sold the bungalow 6 months on, couldn't haunt it anymore, banked the windfall, moved to Portland's Hawthorne district. Freelance boomed. I design graphics for activist groups now, anti-corpo manifestos with Byte. Lydia visits quarterly, sober and sharp, co-authoring a tell-all. Empire of Lies.
You?
Vanished, her shop a falafel joint, but postcards arrive. Soul's yours. Wear it light. Happy? In flashes, coffee sunrises, a tentative date with a bookstore owner who quotes Vonnegut.
Betragits?
Nights when Ethan's letter haunts, the swap's echo whispering Lydia's laugh in my throat. Readers feud online. Savannah's a saint fought the machine versus body-snatching vigilante. Ends justify means?
Me?
I raise a glass to the gray, to America's underbelly where betrayal breeds beasts. Revenge didn't heal. It scarred. But damn if those scars don't tell one hell of a story. Portland suited me like a well-worn leather jacket, gritty edges softened by craft beer haze and food cart pods, a far cry from Seattle's polished betrayal. A year post-verdict, I'd carved a fragile normalcy. Dawn runs along the Willamette, sketching logos for nonprofits by noon, evenings lost in dog-eared Kerouac at Powell's. The windfall from the house sail-padded a nest egg, enough for a cozy bungalow in Selwood, creaky porch swing, wild blackberry thicket out back. No kids yet, but whispers with Jake, the bookstore guy. Someday, when the ghost's quiet. He knew the broad strokes, corporate in-laws, courtroom drama, but the swap? That stayed locked in Liu's incense-scented vault, a secret too to utter. Yet secrets fester, as she warned. Lydia's tell-all dropped like a grenade. Blackwood shadows, a daughter's reckoning, ghost-ridden but raw, climbing NYT lists on scandal fumes. She painted me saintly, Savannah, the unyielding light in our darkness, glossing the serum, the body theft. Controversy reignited. Fox News called it feminist revenge porn, MSNBC hailed whistleblower chic. Book tour stops brought stalkers. Richard's old cronies, bitter emails. You destroyed a legacy. I dodged with Jake's arm around me, but the mail grew thorns. Polaroids of the Queen and House. Raised foundation mocking saved. The real twist lingered. Ethan's audio, a splinter I couldn't extract. I destroyed the drive, but doubt gnawed. Had he truly orchestrated? Or was it coerced confession, prison paranoia? Sleepless, I hired a new PI, ex-fed, no nonsense, to chase ghosts. Weeks of dead ends, then a hit. Ethan's cellmate, paroled to Tacoma, spilling over dive bar IPAs. Your man? Broke bad early. Approached Blackwood Brass himself. Let me flip the cartel cash. Square mom's bills. They reeled him in, yeah, but he cast the line. Confirmation like gut shot. My husband, not victim pure, but architect flawed. The crime I'd avenged? A shared original sin, diluted by their escalation. Rage curdled to sorrow. Love's not blind. It's willfully myopic. Controversial decision loomed. Tell Lydia? She crashed my porch one stormy April night, rain-lashed and raw from a signing in Eugene. Save, the book's selling, but empty. Like I stole their story without owning mine. Over whiskey, her first sip in 14 months, we unpacked the echo. During the blackout, I felt your anger, like fire in my veins. Confession time. The swap, Liu's brew, the serum sting. Her face crumpled, not horror, but recognition. You wore me to gut them. God save. What did it cost you? Tears mixed with downpour. She hugged fierce. Ethan's tapes. I found copies in Dad's files. He begged off the deep end, but yeah, he dove first. Shared absolution, Sister Byscar. We'd both borrowed skins to survive. The climax I'd engineered echoed in ripples. Blackwood's empire auctioned off, properties to community trusts, a Pyrrhic win for evictees. But cartel blowback slithered in. Anonymous threats, a slashed tire outside Jake's shop. FBI details whispered loose ends, urging relocation. I balked. Portland was rebirth, not retreat. Instead, another ethically gray play. Leaked the full tapes to a podcaster, Crime Waves, framing Ethan's duality. Not hero, not villain, human in the machine. Episode dropped. Debates flared. Savannah Hale, enabler of evil versus catalyst for change? Listeners argued ethics of exposure. Did truth honor or haunt? Jake proposed on a fog-shrouded hike in Forest Park, rings simple silver, etched with fight dirty. I said yes. Tears salter than the swap's vertigo. Wedding small. Lydia matron of honor, her laugh genuine now, a justice from Ethan's crew, toasting to flawed fuckers. But by tragedy shadowed, Richard died in custody, heart attack or assisted, per whispers. Elaine lingered, penning appeals from her cell, letters to me. You stole our daughter's soul. Blood debt. I burned them, but the clung. Twists reversal deepened in quiet revelation. Pregnant, twins, skin showed, ultrasounds whoosh echoing Ethan's voice. Fight for us. But Lydia confessed post-vows. The echo? It's mutual. I've dreamed you to your grief, like drowning.
Lieu esrit, bidirectional curskift. Oui deswaped char de permanent, sul scarda tertwind.
Debatable ending. Happy in multiplicity. Jake's hand on my belly, Portland's pulse-affirming life. Or tragic, the rod eternal. Ethan's sins in my bloodline, revenge's chain unbroken. Readers split the difference, forums ablaze. Hale's saga, empowerment or ethical quicksand? I lurk sometimes anonymous, sipping chamomile. No closure, just chapters, America's tense ballad of betrayal and bounce back. The house? Demolished for a co-op garden plaque. In memory of Ethan. Seeds of truth. I plant there yearly, blackberries tangling like secrets. Revenge didn't end. It evolved. And in that gray grace, I find my peace, controversial, unyielding, mine.